way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jets is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning to Dump. Morning to Dump. I don't know what that was about. Today, I am today's host, Jose Galison. I don't know. Maybe Austin will pop in later. Probably scare the shit out of me while I'm reading something. Who knows? We'll see. But as of right now, it's just me. I see me and Eugene in here first. I don't know if I've seen that before. Maybe you're new to here. We got Alan Omofo, a regular Erskine, a newer name. So hey, look, we're accumulating new people. Good morning, Alan. Good morning, everyone. Last night I do want to confirm, yesterday, me and Austin did go on tinfoil hat. So that did happen. I know we talked about last week and that fell through due to booking, but it did happen for sure this time. And I think we crushed. So keep an eye out for that. I would assume probably next week or maybe late next week if I had to guess. Jules came out like soon, a lot or later than I thought it would too. So it might be a little bit longer. It might be like 2 weeks, but keep an eye out. It'll be out there. Me and Austin talked about Gladio and tied it into so much stuff. Like you know how our show constantly is us, spiraling around like how Gladio connects into everything. And we laid that out. We connected into Masonry. We connected into JFK, RFK, Operation Phoenix, the SLA. We tied into Colonia Dignidad. We tied it into the Dutroux Affair. We tied it into the Finders Cult, Old Urso Temple, Jonestown. I think we might have even got some Hand of Death cult in there. Some references to Mina drug trafficking, and even more that I'm not even thinking of. Man, we went hard. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. It was a longer episode. So I think you guys will enjoy this. All right, I see Tom in the chat says, good morning, Niggs. Joey Pupek says, Tom's a Fed. What's up, Joey? All right, guys, while we wait for more of y'all to roll in, I do want to take a second to remind you guys that today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at NWJ Shave Co. If you're tired of that razor burn, the irritation, those ingrown hairs that come from those multi-blade cartridges, then this is the way to go. You don't need that expensive bullshit. You can shave just like your grandpa used to. Whether you're shaving your face or edging up your beard, the single blades give you a barber-grade shave for a fraction of the price. The standard issue puts you out about $75. That comes with the safety razor and the box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. That's supposed to last you a year. Let's be real, it's probably going to last you a lot longer unless you're shaving on the regular, like on the daily or every other day. And then if that's the case, you're going to want to probably think about the Quarter Shave Club. That'll put you out about 25 cents per replacement blade. He's also got shave lathers, great stuff. Feels great for shaving with, smells great. It's also a COVID mandate refusing company. So to recap this, let's go through this real quick. This is a superior shaving product in the fact that it's better for your skin. It gives you a smoother shave. It additionally is cheaper. It's much cheaper than the multi-blade cartridges, especially over the course of a year. And also, this is from a company that doesn't hate your guts. This is a company that, generally speaking, probably comports to your values, assuming you're watching this show. And then on top of all of that, you can get 10% off if you use Jose at checkout. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's just a better product from a company that, supports what you support generally out in this world. So kind of a no-brainer. Go check them out. Use Jose. Let them know I sent you. Let's get into here. Black poo is a bad sign, says Dr. 420. Says, can't wait for the tinfoil episode. Great Pill went deep. Yes, he did. That was a good episode. Erskine said, didn't you guys just go on tinfoil? Yes, we sure did. We went on less than a month ago. But that we had been scheduled to come on to talk about this specific topic. He had hit us up a while ago. We'd had him on our show a while back, and then he was like, "Hey, you guys should come on." And we threw to him this idea of like, we had actually like two ideas we're kicking around. We were kicking around either doing like a theme of like the already dead theme, like the idea of like suicided or killed people by the state, like kind of like geeky, trying to do, I'm trying to think of, like, those are just the two that come to mind, obviously, since I'm so focused on Oklahoma City bombing. But yes, we were considering kicking that, either doing that idea or doing like an all roads lead to Gladio type episode. We ended up doing the Gladio episode. So I don't know. We still have in the future. We could probably play the suicided ones in the future. We could probably do that episode idea. We totally could throw together notes on that easily. But anyways, point being is the time we went before, we'd already had this scheduled. This was like when we went on his show. He was like, "Hey, you guys should come on my show since I just went on yours." And then from there, we scheduled this one to be like the Gladio episode. And then just like a couple weeks ago, just last minute, he was like, "Hey, are you guys busy?" And that's when he hit us up to do like a last minute episode. So the last episode that we did before this was not the originally intended episode. It was literally a thrown together last minute thing. It was far more like current event-ish, like, so, because it was kind of like an on the fly kind of like, hey, what do we have to talk about today type thing. So it became far more like current events heavy. We talked a lot about kind of like PSYOP season, and because that was a lot of the stuff going on at the time, with like with the Tesla car explosion and shit like that. So that was kind of where we were at. But, this was the one that we had been planning on. We had prepped for. We'd made all sorts of notes, whereas the other one was just thrown together. So if you enjoyed the last one, I feel like you will really enjoy this one. So this one, actually, we were really able to take some care into it and actually kind of form it into what we want it to be, as opposed to just kind of go, which was what the last one was. So Alan's wanting to see my dumper, see everyone saying, "Hey, what's up, guys?" So yeah, Jose, have you or Austin done any work on the Austin serial killer? William Ramsey talked about his recent TFH. I have not watched William Ramsey's recent tinfoil hat because, I am a fan of William Ramsey, so I probably will get around to it at some point. But I don't really even know anything about this Austin serial killer, so I haven't. So I don't know. I don't think Austin has either. So, yeah. So you see everyone talking here. See, Read the Scroll says, "I was so happy Rogan mentioned OKC. Hopefully Ian will go deep on it. I'd love to see Richard Booth or Ken Silva on Rogan." Well, I can't give you any sort of spoiler here because I have no idea how deep he went on OKC. As someone pointed out to me the timestamp, and so I fucking I went and checked it. I went to it, so it's ready to go. I have it set up for the show, but I literally saw maybe half a second. I saw him say Oklahoma City bombing, and that was it. Like, he asked him, so I don't. This could end up being a clickbaity title, and that it's OKBOMB on Rogan, or it could be not be. I would feel like if they went pretty deep into it, I probably would have got tagged by more than just one person. So we'll see. We'll keep it. We'll figure that out. We'll cover that here in a little bit. We'll see how deep they went. Hopefully they went deep. All I saw was Rogan said something like, "Oh, have you looked into OKC?" And then I caught the little tiny bit of Ian Carrol going, "Oh no, I haven't." So with that, keep in mind he hasn't checked out Oklahoma City bombing. So maybe, just maybe, audience, you guys should tag Ian Carrol. Let him know I exist. Let him know he should learn more about the Oklahoma City bombing, because I'd be happy to talk to him about it. All right, let me see. Ethan saying good morning. Screwed Up Rebellion. Fuck Israel from C. Smith. I agree. Lance Ripa, how much time do we have? Asking for a friend. I don't know. Just judging by the tabs I have up, I would say hour and a half. I would say keeping it. I'd say closer to an hour and a half than an hour. I don't know. You're saying asking for a friend. I don't know specifically why, but yeah, I should be going for at least another hour. I should keep going. So keep an eye out for that. Read the Scroll says they briefly talked about it but didn't go deep. Okay, well, we'll see how deep they go. So yeah, Daryl Cooper going on Rogan soon. Yeah, I hope so. Although I am still a little salty that he unfollowed me forever ago. But I've talked about that on the show. He used to be one of my most prized mutuals and then just unfollowed me for no reason. I would like to see him on Rogan. That would be great. Although I'll be honest, I probably won't even watch it. I haven't even watched this one, which we'll get into. But all right, let's go ahead and let's start off as we do on this show. Let's start off with a little anti-war news. I do see Eddie Grimm in the chat saying good morning. Demon Hunter Bear, good morning everyone. Good morning. Let's get into some sort of anti-war stuff. Let's start off there. Give me a second, trying to find the tab I want to bring up. Here we go. This is actually from Doctory420 shared this. There's a whole article on antiwar.com, but this is kind of the crux of it. So just as kind of, I guess, your Israel-Gaza update. This is from Doctory sharing it. It says, you're going to want to cover this. This is from Donald Trump. It's a screenshot from Truth Social. He says, Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all the dead bodies of the people you murdered. Or it is over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. I'm sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. I have just met with your former hostages whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning for the leadership. Now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have a chance. Also to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision. Release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. And once again, here he is weighing in heavily on the Israel side. Keep in mind, both sides have hostages here, but yet we're only calling for one side to have hostages, to release hostages. And, funny enough, the side that has far less hostages as well. If I recall correctly, too, I believe the assumption here is either most, if not all, of the Hamas hostages are dead at this point, too. So not to say that they killed them, which is kind of a assertion that Trump seemed to say here. I mean, I guess in a certain roundabout way, you can kind of say they did kill them. But in the sense of that, like, they kidnapped them, so they're responsible for their well-being, and they were murdered by Israel. So in a certain sense, in the fact that, like, they brought them into this situation, it's Hamas's fault. But also on the flip side, like, Israel was discriminately bombing Gaza. So it's like, they killed probably a ton of hostages in the process doing that. So you'd think you'd be a little more careful if there were, you think there are hostages out there. So I don't know. It's fucked up. The hostages clearly have just been used as a leverage chip amongst these people. That's all they've been useful for. So yeah, I mean, this also, I think it's worth mentioning that this is the response. I mean, I've mentioned multiple times on the show that just recently, within the past few days, Israel announced, when they were, essentially embargoing Gaza, they were cutting off all goods in or out. And they just announced it to the world, like no big whoop. If anything, it's kind of like a proud, seemed like a proud moment. And for those who aren't aware, that's a war crime. That's a literal war crime. You can't just punish an entire population. This is so. I mean, and I had kind of alluded to that before that we had sent them $4 billion in weapons. We had also made statements about how we would support them in whatever decision they made. I don't recall there ever being any specific statements after the fact that kind of like then corroborate, like, yes, even this. But this is, so I would take this as said statement. This is a follow-up statement from Donald Trump. The probably the most recent thing from the person that matters the most, the highest level. This is their statement. Following Israel announcing they're going to commit war crimes. It's literally agreement, and he's calling for them to release all their hostages, which, once again, it's just ridiculous because they would be getting hostages back slowly but surely if they just stuck with the deal like they were supposed to. But no, for some reason, we feel, I say the United States, Israel feels entitled to make all the demands and give nothing in return. And if they don't, then everyone dies. That's there's no diplomacy, there's no back and forth, which is where we were before. We were, we'll give you some of ours, you give us some of ours, and kind of slowly but surely. But no, they want all of them back, or we're going to continue hostilities. This is what has become now. Funny enough, the whole way throughout, where by the official parties, it's always framed as, oh, Israel's good faith actor, blah 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 blah. No, nothing about this entire interaction whatsoever has been good faith. Nothing. As I've said before, I kind of mused that like the idea that any entity involves himself with Israel and expects any sort of good faith action is a little ridiculous. And I think maybe they might start seeing this on the world stage. I'm unsure. I don't know how this plays out. I mean, I don't know how, with the amount of like diplomacy they've just completely thrown out the fucking window between Lebanon and Gaza. I mean, I don't really. How do you do any sort of negotiation with any sort of official parties on the world stage after this? Like, your word means nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I don't. It's just frustrating. It's just bizarre that to see that this is how diplomacy's done. So, all right, let's check in with you guys. See what you guys have to say. Why can't they just make this an even trade? Exactly. Well, that's what they've been doing before. So yeah. Where Earthskin says Sam just posted a link to a story showing Israel was planting listening devices near the White House. These people are absolutely an enemy, or absolutely not absolutely an enemy, not an ally. You said but an ally, but I know what you mean. I will say, I think I already have a tab. I think one of the tabs I have up should be going into that because there's stuff about it. Doc Tory saying they have deals in place already. That's why none of the Arab countries have attacked. I don't know. I mean, maybe you might know something I don't, but if you're referring to the Arab deal, we covered that yesterday. I mean, there was the Arab deal, which you actually yourself shared with me before it got denied. But yesterday we talked about the Arab deal that the Arab League put together. It was Egypt's actually proposal, but the Arab League supported it. And essentially the idea was that I think they were going to take purview, or I forget who would get it there. In that situation, though, the biggest difference was that the Gazans, the Palestinians, would stay. They wouldn't be kicked out during the reconstruction period. So they offered to do a ton, and we said no. The U.S. and Israel flatly said no. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to, the deals. I mean, we'll see. I have no idea what's going to happen if hostilities kick off. But I think maybe they are being hopeful that they can get deals since they are proposing deals. So maybe that's what it is, because hostilities technically haven't started yet. I mean, they technically have initiated a war crime by essentially starving out the fucking nation. So, but I mean, it takes a little while for people to starve out. So I think that's probably why no one's really started going live yet. So. You have Abraham Accords for one. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, we're literally paying these people off not to do anything. HTS leader Jelani spoke at the Arab League summit recently. Okay. Screwed up rebellion saying Israelis are panicking after Trump halts aid to Ukraine. They know he sets a precedent that's very dangerous for Israel. Yeah, I would hope so. You would think that this would be something that would sink in. Like, hey, if we can do this to Israel or to Ukraine. Which I guess kind of while we're on that, I guess I'm going to have the last little anti-war thing I wanted to talk about. Actually, maybe we'll talk about another one, because there was one I thought was particularly interesting about direct talks with Hamas, but let's come back to that. This one I thought was interesting. I'm not going to read it all, because I mean, whatever. I think the headline kind of says it all, but not only have we halted aid, but now we're suspending intelligence sharing, which... I mean, it sounds like it wouldn't matter that much, but apparently I guess they rely on us a lot for their targeting needs, and I guess some of their weaponry requires our intel in order to do that. And so this throws a huge gum in the works, essentially. So I think it's cool. Hey, they're still continuing it even after, Ukraine has kind of come back crawling to the table. Apparently it's still enough. We're still putting on the screws to them, being like, hey, so we'll see. I mean, obviously, there's still we still got this mineral deal in the wing that might happen, which, as I've mentioned before, that could be a bad thing, because that's kind of while we're not giving security guarantees by putting industries in that nation with us having profit to be gained there, that kind of puts us in a situation where we're kind of sort of giving. Defense guarantees or whatever, whatever the word was, because you likely are going to defend your investments at that point. So you're essentially, creating it to where we have coordinated, I guess incentives or whatever. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but either way, yeah, that's something to be concerned about. But I do think it's cool that, hey, they're still playing this game, this game with them, just fucking with them. So. All right, let's check in with you guys, see what you guys have to say. Lance saying should have learned Hebrew. Cooper said he is scheduled to go on Rogan. Oh, okay, cool. That's dope. I do like him. Bet Tom. Okay, all right. Donald J. Trump. Signed Donald J. Trump, CEO of the Greater Israel Project. Did it say that? I didn't know. There's no way. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Okay, you're just being silly. Got it. Bad look for Trump going back in his agreement he made. Yes, this was Steve Witkoff, his guy, who set this up. So you are correct. This isn't even the first time. So Let's see. Has anybody looked into what the mood of the ground in Israel is? I heard Bibi was in deep political trouble. Yeah, that's been my understanding from the jump, is he was in political trouble. Like, this was kind of, if anything, you could make the case this was partially distraction from his political problems. I don't know. I don't know really enough about on the ground in Israel. So obviously, if anyone has anything to contribute to that, feel free to drop in the chat, links, whatever. So, let me see. AIPAC lobby is too well entrenched for Israel to worry. Perhaps. I think you are correct. Read the scroll. It says, I think Israel wants Russia occupied in Ukraine to stretch their resources so they can't adequately supply Iran when Israel attacks them. I don't know. There's actually been some weirdness on the Israel-Russia side of things where there's been some votes and some positioning that seem to align with our stance on ending the war, which is bizarre. I can't give you any specific examples off the top of my head, but I know that's a thing. That is a thing where it seems like Israel's actually kind of falling on our side here. I don't know if it's just like they're just kind of going along to get along, to kind of like, butter our biscuits type deal. I have no idea specifically why. Because it is like, hey, you would think they'd be worried that like, oh no, like he's going to be consistent and realize like, oh, if I'm treating you, if Ukraine's like this and I can do that, why can't I do this to it? But if you're up his asshole the entire time licking it, you might get him to kind of like, oh, well, these guys are great, and not really think about that. That seems to be maybe what the case is, or there's some deeper, geopolitical game going on that we're not really aware of. Because it does seem like, I would have assumed this before, but it looks like, it could be. You guys remember? We talked about this way back when Syria popped off. That it almost feels like, in retrospect, thinking about all the things that happened in the Middle East and looking at the Ukraine situation and how Israel is involved in it, it almost feels like this was kind of like a smokescreen put up to kind of distract from the real game. Like, so we have this low level, war going on, or low level to mid level, depending on what time it's going on, but it's kind of dragging on, just kind of like, this is the big war everyone pays attention to, just going on and on and on for years. Meanwhile, all the other plays are being made, with Syria and the like, to kind of move things around and, I don't know. Hey, now we don't have it. Now Syria's destabilized. Oh, cool. Look, we can move into their area a little bit. Oh, now we can move into Lebanon. Oh, now we can move into Gaza. Ooh, now we're moving into the West Bank. And it's kind of like, well, all the while the international community's distracted by Russia. So that, and now that we're really have this push to end it, now you see Israel that it's coming together with us on votes, kind of being like, yeah, you guys should get peace. So it seems like that might have been the case. Now, do I know this? I don't know. It's hard to know, but it's kind of what it looks like looking back. Scooter Billings, who's already been convicted of corruption in Israeli courts, it was going through sentencing when October 7th popped off. Trump and Putin have talks scheduled or are trying to schedule talks with Iran. Yes, we covered that yesterday. That Putin's going to be our go-between for that. Ukraine, Syria, and Gaza are the same war, says Screwed Up Rebellion. Exactly. All right, Doctori just shared a article. Let's check this out, see what he has to say. Let's see again. Oops, I accidentally unhit mute on Rumble, so I was listening to myself. That was weird. Okay, let's bring this up. Let's see. U.S. and Russia made deal on Iran talks, top Putin aid. President Trump has ramped up sanctions on Tehran, but also shown interest on a deal on its nuclear program. Man, that guy looks like evil right there, doesn't he? That's the Russian presidential aide, Yuri Ushakov. Washington and Moscow decided to hold separate talks centered Iran during last month's high-level negotiations in Riyadh. Russian President Vladimir Putin's foreign policy aide, Yuri Ushakov, has said. When was this written? This was written 2 days ago? Okay. Senior U.S. and Russian officials met in Saudi Arabia in February in the first two major talks between the two superpowers since the escalation of the Ukraine conflict in 2022. We discussed the situation around Iran, yes, and we agreed to hold separate talks on the matter. Okay, so that seems to be the crux here, holding separate talks on the matter. This is from Ushakov. So they agreed to talk about it later. No set date for the talks have been agreed upon. All right, there's no point in really reading the rest of this. Obviously, in relation to their, so it looks like they're trying to set up another nuclear deal, which is ironic, because back in 2016, Trump spiked the Obama deal, one of the only good things Obama probably did, and it kind of has alluded to between this administration and the last one. There has been multiple times where he's kind of signaled that he'd be like, "Oh, let's do a deal, let's do a deal." You're like, dude, you just spiked the last deal, Like, I get it, it's the previous president, so you're like, but that's not my deal, that's not my deal. But it's like, okay, but yeah, you're going to be gone in 4 years, and Iran's aware of this, so they're kind of fucking sick of this, signing a deal, oh no, now the next president comes, and look at what you did, you hooked up Iran, the Paragon of Terror, or whatever fuck they call them these days. Yeah, they probably get sick of that shit, and I don't blame them. So, but hey, looks like we're getting ready to talk about it, so that's something, that's cool. All right, let's get back in the chats. Yeah, don't worry. Oh, I forgot you covered it. Okay, well, I mean, that was kind of newer. You said I forgot I covered it. This one, I don't believe, and they talked about it, but they didn't. I don't recall in yesterday them saying they actually were going to do it. In that one, that clarified a little bit more that they're actually going to do it. So, all right, let's get into. My bad. Get back to anti-war. Here we go. One more article on this side of things because I thought it was particularly interesting. Report: U.S. holding direct talks with Hamas for first time. This is from Dave DeCamp. The Trump administration is holding direct talks with Hamas, marking the first time the U.S. has ever engaged directly with a Palestinian group, Axios reported on Wednesday. So this is cool, I think. The report, which has been confirmed by the White House, said the talks were focused on the release of the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages held in Gaza who have U.S. citizenship and a U.S. citizen who is believed to be alive. 21-year-old Edan Alexander, who grew up in New Jersey and moved to Israel after high school to join the Israeli military. Frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think we should have anything to do with these people. Like, you moved to Israel. Like, you're no longer our problem. This is retarded. The report said the U.S. and Hamas are also discussing the possibility of reaching a broader deal on a permanent truce, although Israel has severely violated the agreement in January and has now imposed a total siege on aid and all their goods entering Gaza with full U.S. backing. The talks have been held in Doha, Qatar, in recent weeks between Adam Boehler, Trump's special envoy for hostages, and Hamas officials. One source told Axios that while the U.S. consulted Israel about the possible talks, Israel learned about them through other channels. That little statement carries a lot of weight, and that kind of is as someone mentioned earlier, something about the listening devices. That's the implication. There's another article I plan on getting into because obviously it implies there is spying going on. An Israeli source told the Times of Israel that the possibility of direct talks between the U.S. and Hamas came up during the Biden administration, but Israel expressed its opposition. So it was just to mention again, during the Biden administration, Israel was like, no fucking way. But the source said Israel didn't think it was in the position to oppose the idea under the Trump administration and said that Israeli officials weren't fully briefed on Boehler's talks with Hamas ahead of time. So it looks like they only found about this through spying means, is what I would assume. And that also they said they didn't feel like they were in a position, probably partially because it's like, how the fuck do you even know about this? How are you coming to me and say, hey, don't do this when you shouldn't even know about it? But either way, I guess it's also just they didn't feel like they had the rapport or the ability or the pull to be able to pull that off. So that's good. I think that's a good sign that they don't feel like they're able to just kind of make that Trump's administration entirely their bitch. So Hamas source told El Arabiya that the group has had direct contact with Adam Boehler as well as President Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, which was not mentioned in the Axios report. Back in January, Hamas said it was ready to engage directly with the U.S., and the idea was welcomed by Witkoff. While the Trump administration is engaging in diplomacy with Hamas, President Trump has repeatedly threatened the group, vowing there will be hell to pay if the hostages aren't released. Which, by the way, what we went over today, that was like the second time with that such a hyperbolic language, in both of which were at times were just completely flew in the face of what the current deal situation was supposed to be. He's also repeatedly called for the ethnic cleansing of Gaza to make way for his plan for U.S. takeover of the Strip. All right, that's enough for that article. Let's pop back when you guys see what you guys have to say, and then we'll get into some OKBOMB on Rogan. What's up, Adam Tom Bobby? Sending $2 our way over to Austin. I do want to remind you guys, if you are dropping super chats, you are doing that on Austin's YouTube channel, not mine. So go check out the No Way Jose podcast or YouTube channel as well. I'm also on Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers. So whatever your preferred method of listening to the show or watching the show or whatever, go check that out. Also, I mean, yeah, I'm obviously it's great. I love that you're giving money to Austin. So if you're supporting one of us, you're supporting both of us is the way I look at it. So I mean, I know I joked the other day, but you can do Rumble rants too. I'm demonetized on YouTube. He is not. He still has super chats. At some point, I'm going to assume he's going to demonetize, but we're not there yet. I am a demonetized, but not on Rumble. So you can send me money my way on Rumble. Aggressively agreeing. When Israel says not fully briefed, they just mean they didn't acknowledge because they didn't like the briefing. That's what I paid for the month on Patreon. What are you referring to? What do you mean? What are you paid for? Or are you saying you paid for just because support? Well, I appreciate that, bud. Good morning from Retard News. Good morning, Mr. Retard News. Israel is more than capable of dealing with its own affairs. The nature of our special relationship with Israel has always puzzled me. I mean, yes and no. I do think they are capable of dealing with their own affairs. Now, are they capable of doing what all they've been doing without us? No. If we disappeared, they would be forced to make peace with their neighbors really fucking quick. And they could be in actually a pretty precarious situation if they tried to behave in the same way. But I do genuinely think that if they just kind of, stop being cunts, stop killing people, and came to the table with diplomacy and good faith, that a lot of good things could probably happen. And honestly, probably starting with something as simple as just an apology that, like, this is wrong, acknowledging their fault, and moving from there. So, Jose said, or Boba says, yeah, they're not a problem. You decide to become an Israeli soldier, not American. Yeah. Which, like, I don't know. I guess I'm not, like, too upset about it if you're, like, helping release someone who's but, I mean, whatever. Morning dump time from Arcane Arsenals. You were just trying to get me to an ad read. Patreon.com/NoWayJose2020, baby boy. That's where you can give me money in regularly. The lowest level is $2. It gives you early access to the episodes. For example, I'm recording tonight another False Memory Syndrome one. I have another one behind the paywall. So come tonight, we'll have 2 behind the paywall. And coming tomorrow, we'll have I guess there'll actually be 3 behind the paywall come tonight. So including the True Detective episode, which will be dropping tomorrow, though. So, I mean, it will be 2 tomorrow. But today, there will be 3 behind the paywall. So for you people who wanna get some value, that's one thing you can do. You also can be an ad-free. You can get ad-free RSS feed. You also can be a talking head on Already Dead, which is me and Austin's weekly live stream or live call-in show. Lance Ripa says, my next Prime Minister, Mark Carney, used to be the BOFE chairman. B of E. I don't even know what that is, to be honest. I went to high school with one of his best friends. Oh, I wish I knew back then. B of E. I feel like it's something that once you say it, I'm going to know. So Arcane says, wait, so I'm supposed to be a patron of Targeting and more Morning Dump? Double dipper much? I mean, you can do one or the other or neither. I mean, I like money, but I mean, obviously, if you're giving it to Tower Gang, it's getting dispersed amongst 5+ people. I feel like 7 people. So yeah, I do show Dong behind the paywall. So that's just so you guys know, that is something you will receive if you Bank of England. Oh shit, dude, you had a buddy who worked for the Bank of England? That's pretty nuts. Okay, my next Prime Minister used to be so you went to high school with one of the best friends of your next Prime Minister who used to be the Bank of England chairman. Oh, shit, yeah, dude. That dude is totally doing crazy dark shit behind the scenes. Man. All right, well, yeah, that's interesting. All right, let's get into the Rogan. Let's see what they had to say about the OKC bombing. We'll start there. This is about the timestamp. We'll see. I don't know. This could be nothing. This could be a big letdown, but let's find out. I did actually, before we get into it, I did want to kind of comment on even the idea of Ian Carrol coming on the show. He's kind of blown up like crazy recently. That's kind of, I know there's a lot of people in our circles who essentially fed-jacking him, think he might be. I'm open to the idea. It's one of those ones I wouldn't be the tiniest bit surprised by. I'll be honest, I haven't really particularly seen anything that made me all that convinced. I know a lot of people in our circles are super like, this dude's totally fed, he's totally fed. I mean, maybe. I mean, as I've said multiple times on the show, the things I've seen that, make me think maybe is him blowing up so quickly. And then I guess some of his positions do kind of come off as copish for certain people. But even then, like, I don't follow his material enough. The little bit of times I do, like, the cope does kind of seem to come from like I don't know, you're like a political pundit guy in the sense that you're just kind of stuck on hopium of like, oh, well, RFK will do this, and oh, Trump will do that, and like, oh, like kind of buying into this like political game of like, okay, yeah, well, like a good example would be like Tulsi with like the FISA stuff. It's like, oh, well, yeah, I know she had to like change her position to get confirmed, but like that's what you do in politics. So like, and by that logic, you get to the point where you have like these Trump characters, these RFK characters. Like, yeah, I know they won't say anything bad about Israel, and it's really, really weird to the degree to which they won't. But like, you see how great he is on X, Y, and Z. Like, dude, he's clearly like, this is better. Like this is his idea. Like, oh yeah, I know he says X, Y, and Z, but he's clearly a great guy, and he's gonna do ABC when he gets on. Like, it's this like copium. Like, yeah, we're aware of his faults. We're kind of backing away from them, not really focusing on them that much, getting caught up in the good things about him. Thinking, the bad things a lot of times you kind of write off as like, oh, well, that's just stuff they got to say. This is a political game. But I mean, those two things by themselves are not really enough for me. I don't know. I know a lot of people keep bringing this up, but on the flip side, then we have on the other side of things, we have just people being, I don't know, women about this. It's actually quite pathetic, really. I'm going to find a couple examples for you real quick because I know there was Joel Pollack or Joel Berry or Barry? Yeah, one of the I forget his name. His name's not even like memorable enough to remember. But he's one of the Babylon Bee guys. He put out some weird tweet, something along the lines of like, "Oh my God, this is like," I forget how he put it. It's the most melodramatic, over the top insanity. Here's two examples right here. Here's Richard Hanania. He goes, "Professional anti-Semite is now literally a career because Ian Carrol." Which anyone who's watched Ian Carrol, any of his takes, he doesn't really lean too hard into the anti-Semite shit. So like, he's anti-Israel. He's very clearly anti-Israel. So I don't know. I mean, this is just these people being dramatic women. It's really what it comes down to. Here's Jeremy Boring on this one. So yesterday was a terrible day for American Jews. The embrace by so many prominent voices of demented, conspiratorial, anti-Jewish voices is one of the saddest, most alarming events of my lifetime. This way lies madness, and worse than madness, do not let the times cost your soul. Audience caption and unchecked tribalism are tools of the devil. Paranoia and revisionism are too, even if they really are out to get you. Heck, even a righteous cause can lead us to evil if we don't guard our hearts in the quest. The wicked often prosper, and the temptation to prosper often leads us to join them. But only God offers the richness of salvation, and he already became for us the only Jewish scapegoat for our sin and fear. Leave the rest of them alone. Yeah, I mean, this is sad. This is feminine, faggoty shit. This is all this is. This is pathetic. This is someone came on and said critical things about the country of Israel, and the reaction from these homos is, oh my God, the Jews, and oh, I'm going to morally, I'm going to be a moral school marm, and I'm going to evoke the Bible, and Jesus was a Jew. Oh, this is just gay. This is really, really fucking gay. But I guess let's get into what the actual things he said. Barry is what Tyler's saying in the chat. Barry is his name. Barry. All right, let's get back into the Rogan one. Let's watch this. Let's see what he has to say, though. Let's see what he has to say on the subject of Oklahoma City bombing.
A real big deep dive.
Yeah. And it's the most important part, it's also, by far.
It's like, unless you're a person who does it for a living, like the amount of time that it takes to find out about this stuff. And then even you, who's been in for 2 years doing this, like there's decades of layers you need to uncover, and it'll take forever. Like Whitney Webb's been doing it for how long?
Oh, I don't even know.
Alex Jones has been in the game for 30+ years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's still always more to learn and always more to connect. And we get new information that puts new light on old situations. It just it's this constant rearranging game of understanding. And I just love that. I mean, yeah, most people don't have time for all of it, but as we're sort of stratifying into this ecosystem of content of like creators and journalists and thinkers, that we're all kind of collectively doing the work together, and some of us are more integral than others. Some of us are just clickbaiters, and some of us are like, I'm somewhere in the middle. And then you get some people that are really professional about it, like problematically professional about it. Like they can only get so much done.
Have you ever looked into the Oklahoma City bombing?
No, not much actually, not hardly at all. But I know it's one that's like one of those seminal moments.
That's a good one. First of all, the amount of damage to the building is not something that you would get from a fertilizer bomb. And
yeah, that's I mean, like there's a lot of debate on there. I mean, on that side of things when it comes to the bomb. I mean, you can look at let's look at the Murrah Federal Building. I'll show you an example of this, of the kind of probably the best I think example to kind of the quick and easy for a layman if you're trying to like, oh, why is what would be the best thing to look at for bombing stuff, or like to kind of push back a little bit, just a little bit against the bombing. So here's probably a good photo of this. Let me see if I can expand this, share this tab instead. Here you go. You guys can see the Murrah Federal Building right here. You can see it. You can see there's one column that's super deep in, and you can also kind of see how it's not really like a uniform blast. It goes way deeper in one spot. So, I mean, one thing a lot of people point to is this would comport to charges, and that not all the charges went off as intended would be the way to look at it. So, I mean, here's the Murrah Federal Building. There's also been you can get really into the weeds of the bombing analysis, but that's probably the quickest and easiest way. Just the one column that's like, hey, this is not a uniform blast damage. This isn't like, this clearly is out of the order. That this one cuts way deeper. I mean, obviously, when you get into the bomb analysis, apparently there's a lot to suggest that. Ammonium nitrate bombs were more meant for like, explosive experts would use them more for shaking up dirt and stuff. They don't really have like a shredding rebar type of explosive capability. It's more just like kind of shaking things up, moving out, smaller sediment. Not so much blowing out entire buildings like this. So most of the historical examples of truck bombs, usually you'll see like windows blown out and stuff, and that'll be like the extent of it. So that's one there. But all right, let's get back into it. Let's see if he has anything else to say.
And the way a fertilizer bomb would work in front of the building, that building's blown out.
Exactly.
And the FBI was retrieving unblown bombs from the building.
Yep, he's correct on that one. I mean, at least correct in the sense that there were claims by people out there that they were removing bombs. Or actually, you know what? Let's see if I can. Actually, I'm not going to try to look that one up. But there are actually photos of them looking at the other unexploded ordnances that they were pulling out. These were actually at the Oklahoma City Bombing Museum. That they had to stop saving people multiple times due to reports of there still being bombs in the building. Now this can get kind of up in the air. Now, do you think this is because the ATF was improperly storing stuff there? Do you think they found bombing devices that were intended to be used for the bombing that now some sort of cover up? I mean, I'm kind of partial to the idea that it was the ATF was storing things improperly there because they do have a history of doing so. So, I mean, I guess it could have been unexploded C4 or something they found as well. So, all right, let's keep moving.
Interesting.
Not only that, the whole Timothy McVeigh thing is fucking wild. When you go down the rabbit hole and start looking into it, it seems like a false flag. It seems, or it seems like someone else planted bombs inside that building and they blamed it on this fertilizer bomb.
What would that false flag?
Okay. It looks like they're probably about to get off topic. So false flag. Okay. What can I say about that? If we're to believe, obviously the probably the best example, probably the best thing, if we're looking at McVeigh specifically, obviously there's the idea of that he literally sent a letter to his sister, Jennifer McVeigh, essentially saying that he didn't really, actually, you know what? This one I can look up. Let's look up McVeigh letter to sister, McVeigh letter to sister. Let's see if we can find that. So let's find this real quick. Excerpts from Timothy McVeigh letter. Here is from the New York Times. Continue. Oh, come on. Fuck off. Damn it. It's being gay about... fuck. I think the New York Times is being gay. It won't let me read it. Oh, following our excerpts. Son of a bitch. Let me see if I can... Stupid. They're all doing this shit now. Let me see if it'll let me. Fuck, it's wanting me to make a password and everything. All right, never mind. Just take my word for it. You can find this on the Oklahoma City bombing archive. But yeah, no, he sent a letter to his sister essentially saying that he didn't actually get kicked out of. He didn't fail Special Forces. For those who are unaware, Timothy McVeigh, years before the bombing, he was a military member and he served in the Gulf War. He did some shit over there. And when he came back from war, he went to go try out for, I want to say it was like Green Berets or something. The official story is he failed within a couple days. Essentially his feet or something along those lines weren't in great condition from coming back from war, which makes sense. That doesn't mean anyone who's like done rucking or any sort of intensive military training of any sort like that. You're aware that like you fuck up your feet, dude. You don't have good socks or whatever. Like shit can get rough real quick. So it's believable. But either way, like he said in his letter to his sister, he told her, no, I didn't get kicked. They pulled me aside. They read off the social security numbers of a handful of us and said, hey, you guys, you come with us. I know I heard Richard push back on the social security number thing before and was kind of like, well, that's weird. I will go ahead and let you guys know. I mean, you guys know I was 11 years active duty. I was a mechanic, nothing too spooky. But they're not shy about reading off, especially in like basic training and stuff. They'll refer to you as numbers by your social security or number, so it's not that crazy. But either way, he said that they pull us aside and they said, okay, we're due to psychological tests or whatever. We've decided you guys would be great to instead come along and be part of like kind of a black ops unit. You guys would be. He said that they would be in charge of things like drug interdiction, drug smuggling, taking care of people. I believe he said something along those lines, but essentially black ops, off the books type stuff. And then, shortly after that, this guy then, fails, quote unquote, Special Forces, becomes the official narrative. He leaves the military before his enlistment's up. He tries to leave early. He goes to the Guard in New York. He becomes part of the Guard unit there, which apparently I found this pretty interesting. I guess there's some sort of unique legal cutout when it comes to like Guard or reserve stuff in regard to working within ops. I guess the active duty military can't. So this would likely be part of the concept of sheep dipping, because essentially what we're talking about here is he told his sister, and I believe it was like 92, 93. So this is a good years before the bombing. He told her that I didn't fail Special Forces. I was told to go do this black ops thing, and they made me get out of the military officially while still technically being with them. Sheep dipped. So he technically was part of this black ops unit. But during this time, he's on the official side of things. He's getting out of the military. He's joining the Guard, so he's still part of a Guard unit in New York. So he's coming back home. He's doing the weekend warrior shit, and he's like, pops in. I mean, I don't know if he was a weekend warrior, if he was. You can be like active Guard or active reserves, which means you're like a full-time guy, but you're not technically active duty. I don't know. He's probably a weekend. Either way, beside the point. The point being is the Guards they're able to be involved far more in domestic matters than the military is. So they were able to recruit him from the military, is what it sounds like. And from there, then he phased out to the Guard, where they were able to use him within likely something closely resembling PatCon, if not literally PatCon. So that's the best way to explain it. And then from there, he's working at like Caltech, some other weird spooky stuff. When he comes back stateside, then he gets out of the Guard at some point. He leaves early, and then that's when he kind of seems to do his, kind of nationwide trip all over the place, seemingly always, seemingly showing up with prominent, racist, radical, right wing, whatever dissident, whatever term you want to use, of these people, these hot button people like leaders of the KKK, our Aryan nations, all these different entities that were out there at the time. This guy was linking up with him. So if we're looking at this from a conspiratorial view, looks like this guy was making a name for himself, making a legend of himself. He was becoming known amongst the movers and shakers in this scene. And then that's not even to go into the other people who glow like crazy. You have Roger Moore, who was an FBI informant. He also was a CIA informant. These are both provable things. He worked for Civilian Material Assistant, which was part of Iran-Contra. They were essentially, procuring speedboats for the military or for the feds. This guy was also caught. Roger Moore was caught multiple times by trying to sell things like explosives. He got busted one of the times, literally selling to an ATF agent. They caught him trying to sell explosives to him. That went away. He was also trying to sell bootlegged porn at one point, whatever the fuck that means. And now this is a guy who's a retired millionaire who has made multiple statements during the time when he's interacting with McVeigh. He's made multiple statements about how he hates his job, the job that he currently has. This is a guy who's a millionaire, self-made millionaire, supposedly. He's, I believe, retired at this point. And now his current job is kind of doing the gun show circuit, where he goes to gun shows, he puts out a booth, sells guns, merch, blah, 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 blah. But he hates it. He absolutely hates it, despite being a millionaire at this point. And this is where he meets McVeigh. This is where him and McVeigh start regularly going together, setting up a booth. You also got to keep in mind that these gun show circuits were kind of a glowy area, is a way to put it. This kind of runs into like the soldier of fortune type of milieu. Like the people at these are the mercenary, right-wing race. This was like a hangout. This is almost like the convention spot of these types. So, and then you have McVeigh and Roger Moore, the FBI, CIA informant / asset / whatever you want to call him, regularly setting up booths together at gun shows. Odd, right? A little weird. You have this guy who, glows like crazy, tons of money. A lot of weirdness about this guy. Yeah, and then on top of that, you have Andreas Strassmeyer, who he was within Elohim City. He's probably more on the PatCon side of things. This was a guy who was, German intelligence, while he was in the army. He's from Germany. His dad was a high up. He worked for, I believe, Helmut Kohl. He was like I believe it's grandpa or something. It was like literally in the single digits or something of like, Nazi members back in the day. I believe he worked counter intel, Andreas Strassmeyer, essentially hunting out, was it East German or West German? I always mix up the two, spies. He was on a kibbutz for a while. It looked like he did a cross-training thing with the IDF there. So, you get this guy glows like crazy, and then he just decides at some point he wants to move to the United States, and they just all arc move to the United States. The first guy he lives with is a guy named David Petruski, who was a former Operation Phoenix guy, i.e. CIA, and then, so he likely was part of killing squads over there. He, I guess was buddies with, I want to say it was one of the Bushes, because he was looking out for, I guess he was assuming that if Bush got elected, he was going to get a job. There was multiple statements from Petruski about how he was trying to help Andy get jobs stateside, working for the feds in some regard. And then I guess the official narrative becomes that just nothing ever came of that. And then then Andy leaves Petruski, goes to Texas to live with David Holloway, another CIA agent. He used to be the guy running their planes for them, was a pilot for them. He goes over to David Holloway at Texas Light Infantry, which is a militia that Dave Holloway was running. Dave Holloway, a former fucking spook, quote unquote former. Funny enough, Andreas Strassmeyer gets kicked out of that militia because of the fact that the members there saw him, thought he was in some sort of asset, some sort of fed of some sort. Essentially, they saw him going into a federal building using the keypad. Someone followed him, and they're like, this guy is not to be trusted. And this is a guy, then next thing he ends up in Elohim City, which is the group that's super clicked up with McVeigh. I'm not going to spend the time trying to support that. Just take my word for it. Go check out my series if you want to. But then he becomes the director of security there, swaps out a lot of their weaponry with more legal stuff, starts training these people regularly, advocating violence. He literally goes with Carol Howe, who was an ATF informant, and Dennis Mahon, I want to say months prior to the bombing, might have been a year, I forget the exact time frame, but they went to the Murrah Federal Building to Oklahoma City to case out buildings to possibly bomb, one of which was the Murrah Federal Building. They were also looking at the courthouse. Also, fun little fact there, Dennis Mahon, one of the individuals who went to go look for him, had in the past already, I forget if he actually did it or if it was just a plan, but he'd already had either a plan or done it in the past, had intended to, I believe it was a plan, because I don't think he actually carried it out, but he already had a plan in place, that's well documented to bomb the Murrah Federal Building years, probably in the realm of like 10-ish years prior, to bomb the Murrah Federal Building with an ammonium nitrate bomb as well. So, I mean, a lot there. I mean, I could probably keep going and pointing out more of the weirdness that's like, yo, I think they made this shit go live. But suffice it to say, the Oklahoma City bombing glows. But all right, let's check in with you guys. Let's check. But was saying I think it's because Ian blew up. Yeah, that's what most people think. Did anyone catch Ian say his family was intelligence? Okay, well now you got my ear. That's weird. That doesn't mean he has the jacket. He just blew up so fast people think he was. Exactly. Let me see. Slave economics is what Lance is saying. So Boba's saying, I remember reading about someone renting out an actual closet in someone's house, and I think British Columbia for 750 Canadian bucks. Do not let the times cost you your soul. LOL, like not supporting Israel and criticizing evil Jews will cost you your soul. Yeah, that's the fucked up part. These people are like it's the most fucked up shit. If you really think about it, especially from a moral or even a religious perspective, what they are doing is the worst. It's fucking gross. Like they're literally using their religion, their supposed belief system, their morality to shield them from baby murder. So let me see. Plastic explosive equals OKC bombing damage. Yeah, probably C4. I agree. It's likely it was C4 as well. Let me see. Ian's family is intelligence. That's what one of the guys is saying. I will let you guys know. I don't know if we'll get to it today, but I do have a tab that kind of someone was making, kind of going into his stuff. Kind of one of our regulars is so and so a Fed, and maybe we'll get into that. I don't know. Is the story of him seeing the Waco raid and becoming radicalized true? That really is just a kind of choose your own story here. He was at Waco. There are videos and pictures of him at Waco. He was selling anti-government merch there. I think I don't think that was true. I think he was likely, if I had to guess, I think he was already making a legend for himself. He knew this was a big deal, and so he was making face. He gets to be one of the guys that's like, I was at Waco and I was super upset and I was there with you. And now he's part of the community. He's further entrenching himself in the community. Also, as we just recently talked about on my Oklahoma City bombing, what did I call it? A round table discussion is when I just recently had on Richard Booth and Jonathan Franklin. What was I talking about? Why did I bring that up? I just completely zoned out. Oh, no, I remember what I was talking about. That we talked about in that there is reason to believe, and I believe we'll probably get the sources on it in the upcoming book coming out here soon. I forget her name. I believe Margaret something. But there's going to be a new Oklahoma City bombing book coming out very soon, and I believe there's going to be details in there that support the idea that the Waco raid was actually a PatCon op of some sort. And by that I mean... it seems like from what Richard was the information he gave us when we talked about is the implication was that there was some sort of supply what's the word I'm looking for, supply drop or something from somebody is my understanding, and that this supply drop they were able to use. So I'm assuming there was some sort of entity that was delivering stuff to the Waco compound, and this was probably some sort of group they were interacting with. Whether it was guns or other things, I'm not sure. But what I'm getting at is that this people were, resupplying them, and it sounds like what Richard was implying here is that there was probably some component of criminality within whatever that drop was or the entity that did the drop, and from there they used that as some sort of grounds for which to go forward with Waco. Obviously, we don't know about what the specifics of that is, because obviously I would assume they don't want to show that, but that would be on their end. And I don't know what specifically. I mean, hopefully we'll find out more. But if you understand how PatCon worked, it was all these feds infiltrating things, and then they would incriminate. They would do things to incriminate these groups to cause them so they could make arrests and stuff. Or carry out whatever actions they want. For example, here, let's say there was some sort of criminal, let's say there was a drug component in whatever entity was resupplying them. And it doesn't even have to be drugs they were selling. It could just be that these people sold drugs and then they were regulars that interacted with the with the Branch Davidians. Would that be enough for them to go, oh, there's reason to believe that you're interacting with known drug dealers, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'm completely talking on my ass. I don't even know what the specific is of it. I just know that there's more information that will be coming out on that end. All right. Gun shows are dope. Yeah, I agree with that too. But especially in the 90s, if you got to kind of think of like what's going on there. Helmet Cole is what Lance Ripa said. What did I call him? Okay, yeah, you're right. Helmet Cole. Waco was just something that was on my TV. I've learned more about today than ever. Let me see. Scroll through chat. Isn't it interesting that unexploded bombs were found in the building? 100%. All right, let's get back in this. Let's see if he says anything more on Oklahoma City bombing. I have a feeling this will probably be the end of it. Okay, so the angle being what was the reason for it. You know, people always say this, and I don't know. I don't know if Ian's being facetious, playing dumb, or what. I mean, obviously it's just a quick little interaction, so it might be extrapolating far too much from this. But I mean, as we even talked about this on Tinfoil Hat, the concept of strategy of tension. You don't need a specific thing. Like, and everyone does this. They go, well, why would the feds do Oklahoma City bombing? What did they have to gain from this? And it's like people expect you're going to say Oklahoma City bombing was done because the anti-terrorism bills after it or something, which is what a lot of people do point to, because when people ask this question, it's like, yeah, there were the anti-terrorism bills that were passed after it. Those things were the precursors to the Patriot Bill. But even that aside, let's say nothing got passed. It's missing the point to go, well, what thing happened? Because it's almost as if you're like expecting, and then if there nothing does happen, people might like almost be like, well, I guess the feds just fucked up there. That like, you know, they clearly, you know, that was stupid. They didn't even get what they want. Well, you're missing the point. This is energy games. This is what this is. This is moving dynamics certain ways. Like, you may not get, it's not going to be as simple as we do X action, we get Y result. It's you get X action. It's kind of like the seen and the unseen. Like the simple idea that you've put out tension into the air, that you're causing more fear from the populace. You're causing more clamoring for security from the state, stuff like so you don't need a specific thing, but the idea is being like, hey, we do X thing, and now you guys are scared. Now you guys are looking to us. I mean, it's a simple fact that you're essentially affecting the zeitgeist of of a society. You're moving the population. You're directing them along the path you want, the golden path. You are directing them along the path. You are making subtle little pushes from one way or another. A good example is like any man who's ever had like a clueless wife, which is most of your wives when it comes to like interacting in public, like just walking in the mall or whatever, like, or even if your kids. Like, I have 2 daughters and a wife. They're awful at it. Like, I constantly am almost like their cattle, like giving them like little nudges or pushes or kind of grab them by the hand and like a little like, oh, move this way, move that way. Like, that's kind of what strategy of tension is. It's not an overt thing. They're not looking. It's like if you were looking at your wife and you're like, oh, I see someone coming and like they're gonna run into us, but if I need to move us a little bit over to the right, like if you're looking at it wrong, like you're, I don't know, whatever. I'm going way too far on this anyway. My point being is like strategy of tension. It's like the idea. It's more than just like, oh, well, what did you get out of it? That's missing the point. Like, you're moving the dial. It's a kind of almost like an Overton window thing. Like, you're shifting an Overton window is what you're doing. Whether you get some specific result is beside the point. It's the idea that you're moving this window more within the realm of results that you want in general. All right. Well, I think that's it. I think they're done with Oklahoma City bombing. Okay, that was super short, but hey, it's something, I guess. It was more than clickbaity, so that's something. Someone said the video sound isn't playing. Really? Let me try that again. What the fuck? That is bizarre. Was that out the entire time? So it was just a video. Let's try this again. I'm just curious. You guys let me know if this is playing sound.
Or like what conglomerate of groups do you think were involved?
Well, for sure, the Saudi.
You guys hearing that?
I mean, a lot of the people were Saudi.
A lot of the people were Saudi.
I don't know if that necessarily means that the Saudi government had anything to do with it.
That is bizarre. I did nothing different. It was exactly the same. All right. Well, I don't know. He doesn't really miss much. I'm not even going to bother playing that again. He just said something along the lines of like, he kind of changed topic over to 9/11. And then he said, so you might have missed the part about the idea of like, he kind of made some sort of implications like, well, why would they? What did they have to get from Oklahoma City Bombing? And that's when Rogan said something about the anti-terrorism bills or whatever. I forget what specifically it was, but yeah. So that's bizarre. It's weird that it cut out audio for you guys like that. But at that point, then they completely changed to something else. So, let me see what else you guys have to say. Covering up Clinton's crimes. Yeah, for sure. The Whitewater deal. Now, people bring this up all the time. Whitewater, I have never found anything to support this whatsoever. I've seen some claims about removing some stuff, but those are a little bit dubious. So I don't really put much stock. Everyone, that's the first thing they jump to is like, oh, they're trying to get rid of the Whitewater documents. So they're getting rid of documents. I mean, I don't know. I talked to Richard about this a couple times. He kind of agrees. Any sort of documents, like federal documents, they're going to have backups elsewhere. Like, I get it was the 90s, so there's probably a lot of paper documents, but they still had backups. So the idea that you're going to, like, blow up a building and, like, haha, we took care of that, you're like, that's not how that works. So I don't know where this came from, but, and this isn't at all me. Don't get me wrong. I think Hillary Clinton probably cut off a child's face and wore it around the room and did laughs and giggles with Huma Abedin. Probably, I'm far be it from me to protect her, but like, I think that's missing the point. Now, there's definitely, I do think her fingerprints are on the Oklahoma City bombing. The Whitewater is just kind of almost a red herring a little bit. Let me see. Militias were on the rise after Ruby Ridge and Waco. The feds have to paint them in a negative light, is what Demon Hunter Bear says. 100%. Real John Doe says these are singular actions in a much bigger picture. In the absence of understanding long game agendas, people struggle to understand the singular event. Exactly. It's kind of what I was explaining at before. It's like strategy attention. It's not about getting one specific thing. Like, yeah, you probably will get those things, but those are just a effect of that. That's not the actual literal goal. So yeah. All right. Let me see. All right. So let's get back into some chats. Let me see. Here we go. All right. On to spying. Here's Max Blumenthal. So it says Israel is spying on the Trump administration and leaking its sensitive diplomatic moves to the press. Here we go. Behind the scenes, the meetings between Bowler and Hamas officials took place in Doha in recent weeks, while the Trump administration consulted with Israel about the possibility of engaging with Hamas. Israel learned the aspects of the talks through other channels. There you go, right there. This is that backs up the idea. I thought there was a whole article here for some reason. So once again, it's just him noticing picking up the thing within this. So this is from Barak Ravid. He pointed this out in his writing. Here's some from Gizmodo. Israel allegedly installed Stingray devices around D.C. to spy on Trump. When was this? This was let me see. This is back in 2017. Which so this is par for the course when it comes to these guys. So here's Trump and Bibi shaking hands back in his first administration. And so, yeah, Israel's allegedly behind the Stingray spy devices discovered around D.C. in 2017, according to an explosive new report from Politico. So, I mean, it would be the first time that they did these sorts of things. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I thought there was an article. My bad. But, yes, this seems to be, and yeah, Sam did out there. I did see him share some sort of article for those who are interested in that to go check that out. But yeah, so it looks like, I mean, this is carrying a lot of weight, learning about aspects talks through other channels. It just would make the most sense that those channels would be spying of some sort. That or they have a mole within Hamas. That would be really Only ways I could think of that being the case. So, all right, man, I didn't even bring up that. I didn't even bring this up, did I? What the fuck? What is going on with this today, man? This shows I'm sharing it on my end, but then it's like, what the fuck? This is being really bizarre. StreamYard's being glitchy. Okay, here we go. Now you guys should be seeing it. My bad. I had this up the entire time. I thought I was showing you this stuff. Here we go. So here I showed you guys this, and then I scrolled down to this, which is the photo of Trump and Bibi that we were referring to earlier. So, all right, sorry that this is being weird and not bringing up stuff. Yeah, it says Jose, the Gremlins getting you. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I know we were having issues on Tower Gang last night too. I think it's something to do with. It's got to be something to do with StreamYard adding new features. So it's just bizarre. I mean, here we go. We got Real John Doe saying Israel has always been spying on America. Huge groups of people were identified as part of Israeli spy rings decades ago to the tunes of hundreds of people. You can still find some of the articles online. 100%. NSA fucking with your shit, says Doc Tory. Maybe. See Helper Crow. Say hello. What's up, guys? What is up? All right, what do we want to go into next? All right, let's go. Let me make sure it's actually showing this. Since, okay, cool, it is showing it. Let me see. All right. Here is on the talk. This is something from Ryan Burr. He shared this because I remember yesterday I was telling you guys, like, I didn't watch it. If there's anything in there you guys want me to talk about, feel free to share. So he did. And I think one of you guys referenced this in the chat yesterday too. So it's clandestine. He says, holy shit. When Trump is talking about the illegal border crossings, right as he says human traffickers, he points at and gestures to all the Dems who are on his right. Trump just called all the Dems human traffickers to their face. Watch. Which, like, for one, I think that's probably not entirely correct. I feel like that might be exaggerating things a little, but it's also kind of gay because it's like, let's be real. This isn't some stupid Democrat-Republican thing. Let's go ahead and play this.
But if we truly care about protecting Americans' children, no step is more crucial than securing America's borders. Over the past 4 years, 21 million.
Let me know if you guys can hear that. I am curious, but let's keep going.
Million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the...
Okay, you did do the finger pointy thing, and it did seem bizarre. I mean, I guess I'm not seeing what's behind there. I mean, we're not going to take this tweet's word that the Democrats were sitting there. Sure, okay. I mean, maybe there's some other context we're missing because it did seem bizarre. But yeah, I guess, for those who were, listening right at that point, he did kind of scan his hand, his fingers kind of pointing along the right side of him. It did kind of look like, yeah, it did kind of do that. All right, let's keep playing.
The streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies. They are now strongly embedded in our country, but we are getting them out and getting them out fast.
All right. I mean, cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We can zoom in on that finger point again. I thought. I mean, it was kind of odd. I mean, I don't know what to make of it.
Human traffickers, gang members, and other.
Yeah. I mean, that did definitely seem very deliberate with the human traffickers. You can watch the finger. Bizarre. All right. Yeah. It does seem like an implication of like, fuck you guys. I know what you guys are doing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Are we doing 70 underwater triple decker chess? I'm not sure. Is he getting ready to drop the what's going on with the Epstein files? Aren't we supposed to get it? Were we supposed to get them tomorrow, I think? Yeah, well, I'm not holding my breath considering the last time, but yeah, I don't know. Bizarre. That is odd. I mean, I don't really know what to make of that one other than that is odd. That does definitely seem like he's like kind of heavily implicating, hey, I know you guys are in on the take on this. So someone says I can't find timestamp on Ian's parents or Fed's accusation. Yeah. Hey, if there's someone out there, that find something like that, yeah, let me know. See, good morning, Kimberly. What's up? Cool. Let's say sound's working again. Okay. Well, then I don't know what the fuck is going on with it. So whatever. All right, let's fuck it. Let's do the is Ian Carrol a Fed thread. Let's do this. It looks like this got posted not long ago, right before we started. So I don't know how good this is. It's not like it's one that's gone like viral or anything. So we'll see. Maybe this one's horseshit. This is from 7Cs. So here you go. In January 2024, Michael Flynn reposts one of Ian Carroll's videos. So it was back in January, so almost a year ago, a year and a couple months. And this is General says, I don't know about anyone else, but I find this argument's very credible. Hashtag Pizzagate is real, at Liz Crocken, at Laura Logan, at Lynn's Piper Loomis, at Mary Flynn O'Neill, at Amira Future. Let me see. Can we look at this tweet? No. I mean, I kind of would be interested in like kind of what kind of numbers it did, initially, because I guess obviously the idea here is that like that Ian Carrol, Michael Flynn's boosting this guy. Michael Flynn does strike me as a spooky fuck. I don't really know enough about him, but yeah, spooky. So if this is obviously he's taking the angle that certain people are boosting this guy, so like obviously this is just pattern recognition territory because people do this. You see. And there is something to it. I think there's a point to this because you see, I've talked about many times on the show. You have these influencers, this like narrative network that's being created, and these people do go, oh hey, so and so is so great. This guy is so great. Oh, go check out, and they are very incestuous. And then it seems to be too whenever there's like a new one that's like entered this group that is like these people do kind of all of a sudden you'll see certain entities start boosting these people and you're like, oh, and then now they rise to prominence over time. I mean, now this could just be because someone does good work and people within that network are supporting that, but it also could be when you do see like a high degree of it, it does kind of make you wonder if it is like, oh, these people know this guy's part of their narrative network or is good with them or whatever. So yeah, I mean, this obviously isn't much at all, but something. Actually, here's the original tweet. Post is unavailable. I was trying to see what kind of numbers it did. Okay, well, I don't know. It would have been better to see the numbers when it was put out because it's like, I mean, this guy has 1 million followers, so somebody quote tweeting him now doesn't really mean much. But if you say he only had like 10,000 followers or something, that would be like, holy shit. All right, Ian spent most of 2024 campaigning for RFK Jr., known Epstein associate and friend of Rabbi Shmuley, which this is where most people focus. They're like, this dude's a glowy in the in his support for RFK and by extension his support of Trump. So you see here saying confirm RFK. This once again is not enough. I think this guy could just be taken away by this guy. He's obviously had personal meetings with him. I think he's had personal meetings with Nicole Shanahan. He could just genuinely like these people and think they're playing a political game, as I kind of talked about earlier. These are people playing a political game. And so he's going to kind of be like, oh, well, this is why they're like this on this position. And then on this one, this is where you're able to forgive characters like this for like the Israel stuff. You're like, well, you kind of have to be able to play ball in this game and blah, 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 blah. So, and he's trying to make political change. Do you want to make change or do you not? Like, I can see the angle with people going there. I mean, once again, I don't agree with any of that. I'm not even like really too hip on political involvement in the sense of like, hey, vote for so-and-so. I think voting's generally kind of gay. So like, I mean, I don't get caught up in this, but I understand the effect that sort of, mentality can have because everyone's like, oh, we're going to change the world. We're going to through electoral politics. And you're like, yeah, well, I don't know. You're kind of probably just going to end up kind of corrupting yourself or finding yourself trusting untrustworthy people. So let me see more. So I don't know. This isn't much to me really. Ian has been a huge supporter of billionaire Nicole Shanahan. Yes. Okay. I don't know. She seems like a sweetheart, so I could see how like, she could be personable. She's relatively kind of smart-ish. I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest, call me a sexist, but God, one of the worst things ever is listening to female podcasts. But she's one of the very few rare females that you're like listening to. You're like, oh, I can listen to her and it's not bad. I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of when she shows up on podcasts. It's kind of like, she doesn't really have that much interesting to say, but I don't know. She's seems personable, nice, relatively intelligent, some semi-prescient things to say. So I can see people get caught up in her. She seems really nice, seems really into health stuff. So I can totally see where granola type like Ian would get, caught up in her. So, yeah, I don't really know. Once again, I don't really know if that's really anything bad about being known. Okay, well, here's more on. Actually, let me back up a little bit. On the RFK thing, I missed this guy said RFK's first 2 actions as HHS were to facilitate an MMR vaccine and post about anti-Semitism. Yes, we talked about an Already Dead about how they put together some sort of, I don't know, something. It's right here. Something about this was some sort of statement from HHS that they were going to do. I forget specific, something to do with like college campuses or something. They were doing something, which once again seems not within the purview of HHS, the Health and Human Services. So bizarre that they're right off the jump like, oh, the first 2 orders of business is anti-Semitism and MMR vaccines, which is like what we're not supposedly not cool with. So I don't know. And okay, back to Nicole Shanahan. Nicole Shanahan went to Stanford, known recruiting center for the CIA, where she met her now ex-husband, billionaire Sergey Brin of Google. Okay, so she went to Stanford. Nicole Shanahan said that Peter Thiel and the PayPal mafia are predictable. Okay, so maybe they are predictable. She's the president of a biotech company called BioEcho. She said that mRNA vaccines need a moratorium until we figure out about the science, which Ian agreed with. All vaccines have always been and always will be bioweapons, is what this guy says. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. So, Nicole Shanahan allegedly took ketamine at a party with Elon and disappeared with him for hours. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, a fun fact, too, we covered on this show that apparently, or reportedly, Elon offered Nicole a baby. Essentially offered him his jizz. Weird thing to do with your friends, but that's what it's like when you're homies with Elon. I guess Nicole turned it down, but yeah, he offered her a child. So, more. Ian has been a major supporter of Donald Trump, arguably the most pro-Israel, pro-Zionist president of all time. He's even acknowledged Zionism in previous posts. So then here's him. He says, when the alt-woke super truthers ask me, how could you vote for Zionist puppet Trump? This is how. An Internet Bill of Rights, a federal ban on all censorship and thought policing with consequences. I can think of nothing more vital, especially to journalists today, which is kind of plays to my point earlier. This is, Trump is an extension of, in my opinion, an extension of his support for RFK, because, he's part of his administration. He's a big RFK guy. And then, he kind of, as he says here, Internet Bill of Rights. So, I don't know if I necessarily agree with an Internet Bill of Rights personally. I guess it depends on how it forms or what you're talking about. But either way, this is something he wants. He thinks this is a good action, and he thinks Trump is going to get it to him while admitting this guy is a Zionist. So he's saying, hey, I know this guy has problems, but there's things I think I can get from him that would advance society in a good way. So this is why he's supporting him. So, you may not like the fact that he does tend to not really focus much on Trump, Shanahan, RFK's negative side of things, but that is because he's clearly caught up in the political side of things and wanting to advance actions he agrees with. So it seems like he's playing the game of I'm gonna be cool with these people. I will boost them for their W's. I'm sure he'll probably also point out the L's, but on one side of things, for one, people don't notice as much when he points out the L's. And then 2, he also is somewhat probably incentivized not to point those out as much because those would impede on his ability to get these people to get the actions through that he wants done. So, this is the whole crux of why the political game kind of fucks over people. So I think it's perfectly reasonable that this guy's not a Fed and he just, thinks he's going to get political assurances of some sort by advocating for Trump. So I don't know. Ian runs a podcast with 2 friends, Kyle Kemper, Justin Trudeau's half-brother, holy shit, and Dustin Stockton, known MAGA grifter. This is Club Maha podcast. Oh, my God. Yeah. So Kyle Kemper and Dustin Stockton, according to Ian, are friends, quote-unquote, with known Epstein client Brock Pierce, who was accused of child rape during his time at Digital Entertainment Network. Maybe this would be a fun little tangent to go on one of these days because I recall Booty had some threads on. We did kind of touch on Brock Pierce in passing once. I think we talked about the X-Men, child sex. What's the word I'm looking for? Debacle, I guess. We touched on that a while ago from Bryan Singer. And there were Brock Pierce touching this a little bit, but I know Booty has done a whole thread on these guys and their connections to Brock Pierce, who seems to be clicked in with a bunch of, he's an Epstein client, a bunch of other, seems to be part of this some sort of blackmail network. And then we have Ian here, buddies with these guys running a pot. Now we're getting into territory where we're like, okay, you got my attention. What is going on here? Obviously, this could mean nothing. I have not looked into the connections here, but this is where we're like, okay, we're onto something. Once again, it also is just a association. I mean, someone you're doing a regular podcast with is a little bit more than just a normal association. It's more than just like a guest or something. Still not a ton. Like, let's say, for example, let's say documents get leaked and we find out Clint was actually a Fed this whole time. I mean, obviously we've made jokes about it and stuff like that, and we tease him, but like, I don't know, sure, theoretically it's possible. And then we're like, oh fuck, he was a Fed this. I mean, I wouldn't know. How the fuck would I know? So I guess it's the kind of same idea here. It's like, I don't know, these guys could be, atrocious child pedophiles that are involved in networks with elites and all this stuff. And it's like, I know it's also perfectly reasonable that Ian wouldn't know. I mean, it's not like something you just disclose to everybody. So, but it is weird. I'll give you that. This is a data point for sure. We're getting to actual real data points now at this point, in my opinion. Before it was kind of just like, I don't know, not much. None of these ones up here are much. These are just, he's involved in political stuff. He has people because every political actor out there, pretty much, just about aside from like Ron Paul, is going to have negatives about them that you don't like. That is just the nature of this political game. So if he is a political, individual, he's someone who's wanting to, advance positive things through politics. It only makes sense there are going to be people that he does cope for. That's just kind of the name of the game. So I don't know. All right, let's keep moving. Here's a excerpt. DEN was slated for a $75 million IPO in October 99, but the IPO was withdrawn in the wake of allegations of child rape against Collins rector, Shackley, and fellow executive Brock Pierce. All three executives subsequently resigned. Okay, this is just proof. This is just some sort of corroboration of Brock Pierce. Here's articles on Brock Pierce's ties to Epstein. He's the co-founder of the scam crypto Tether. He's also close with Bannon, and then some of his other notable ties. I guess here's a photo of some ties. I mean, obviously taking these guys' word for it. Nerd shit. I don't know what any of this stuff is, so I'm not even going to bother reading it. Ian has publicly supported various other pro-Zionist, pro-Israel, AIPAC founded members of Trump's cabinet. Once again, an extension of the Trump stuff, so it makes sense. So he's saying here only RFK Jr. at HHS, Kash Patel at FBI, Tom Homan as border czar, declassification of assassination Epstein files pending, Doge shuttering USAID. List goes on. It's been pretty hopeful so far. Every other president in my lifetime has been atrocious. I'm not sure I can come up with a single good thing any of them have done. Once again, this isn't so bad to me. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I have a little bit more of a dour perspective on these individuals than he does, but I think this is just fine too. Here's Kash Patel saying we should prioritize Israel. Once again, I guarantee you if he said something to Ian, he'd be like, yeah, they're all like that. Kash Patel's girlfriend works for PragerU, known Israeli propaganda machine. We have covered that. Kash Patel's company Trishul received money from Matt Gaetz during his sex trafficking of a minor controversy. Matt Gaetz is married to the sister of Peter Thiel Lackey Palmer Luckey. Yeah, we've covered that before. And Matt is really good friends with known Epstein and Ghislaine defender Charles Johnson. Which this is, I talked to Ken about this, and this guy is not really that close to Gaetz. This is just they have a picture together. So, I don't know. I mean, I'll take Ken's word for that one. So, either way, Kash Patel has been a member of Trump Media and Technology Group since at least 2024, according to the SEC. Tom Homan is part of the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, and SPLC. He was appointed by Obama as Executive Associate Director of ICE in 2013. So yeah, these guys all suck. They're all Zionists. You're not telling me anything new here, 7 Cs. Ian has led people to believe that A.G. Pondy is ever going to release the Epstein list. Okay, so this is the 4th. So 2 days ago, this is Ian saying, and the original tweet here being from Benny, and it says, breaking, A.G. Pam Bondi says a massive amount of Jeffrey Epstein files were dropped off on Friday, and FBI Director Kash Patel is currently looking through them. And then Ian's take on this was, despite my snarky words towards A.G. Bondi, I am perfectly ready to change my tune if genuine document release happens. I understand she's up against the most powerful criminal organization in the world here, and patience and grace is required. We'll see what they release and blah, 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 blah. Okay, you gotta see more. Either way, okay, once again, not so bad. That's not how I would put it. I would definitely be far more like, dude, you guys aren't going to release this. You guys are full of shit. That's me. But he has always been kind of far more of like an optimistic. It makes sense. I mean, I'm just a guy with like 10,000 followers. Nobody that fucking matters really sees, or like I said, none of these fucking, swamp creatures see any tweets of mine or anything. But it kind of makes sense for me for someone like an Ian. If you're making a tweet, if you're putting out a message to the world and you know that it's a good chance some of these higher up people will see it, I don't know. I could totally see having the logic of like, maybe I should frame this as like, I know I was shitty, but assuming you come out and do what you say you're going to do, I'll be cool. Obviously, she's not going to, and I feel like Ian probably knows that, but he's framing this and giving her an out. They're like, hey, I know I've been shitty, but like, if you drop this, I mean, hey, I'll be forced not to be shitty. I'll change my tune. That's what this is. I mean, this is, I don't know. So it does come off as slightly hopeful, so I get what the person's saying, but this in no way really is him saying, like, oh, it's for sure happening or anything. I don't know. Pam Bondi has ties to Scientology, having supported them as far back as at least 2014, where longtime Scientology founders like Liz and Michael Bayback helped her raise funds for her campaign. She also knowingly spoke at an event sponsored by the Florida branch of Citizens for Social Reform. Citizens for Social Reform was founded by Scientologists. This is interesting. She also had a spokesperson for her announce that Pam's office was considering joining a lawsuit initiated by Eric Schneiderman, the Attorney General of New York at the time, regarding tax fraud potential charges against Trump. Okay, so she looks like she was getting ready to join a suit against Trump back in the day. That's interesting. Something, I guess. I do find it interesting her Scientology connections. That's weird. 4 days later, a political action committee established by Bondi to support her re-election and Justice for All received a $25,000 donation from the Trump Foundation. She subsequently declined to join the lawsuit against Trump. Okay, well, that just sounds like smart politics. Pam Bondi also pressured two leading attorneys in the case against Lender Processing Services, who were responsible for a robo-signing scam against people using hundreds of thousands of phony documents to disclosure on for homeowners. She received campaign donations for LPS. They since changed her name to Black Knight, which is a subsidiary company of a little company called Intercontinental Exchange, which is also owns something you may have heard of called the New York Stock Exchange, the single largest stock exchange in the world. Intercontinental Exchange was a venture started by a man named Jeffrey Sprecher, who is also the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. Sprecher received funding from Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, BP, Total, Shell, Deutsche Bank, and Societe Generale. Intercontinental Exchange, helmed by Sprecher, created another company called Bakkt. Bakkt is a crypto exchange started in collaboration with Boston Consulting Group, one of the largest management consulting firms in the world, Microsoft, Starbucks, and other major companies. Bakkt's CEO originally was Kelly Loeffler, Jeffrey Sprecher's wife. Kelly Loeffler and her husband began selling stocks on January 24th, 2020, the same day Kelly Loeffler attended a private briefing of the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions on the spread of COVID before the public had been alerted to its severity. Man, that's a lot on this. Loeffler and her husband denied any wrongdoing, saying the trades were made by a third-party advisor and that she learned about them only after they occurred. Between January 24th and February 14th, they sold between $1.275 and $3.1 million worth of stocks in 27 companies, while buying stocks worth between $450,000 and $1 million, including in Citrix, which develops remote collaboration software. Bakkt is currently in talks to be acquired by Trump Media and Technology, which is owned by the incoming President Trump, who has appointed both Bondi and Kelly Loeffler to his current administration as the Attorney General and Small Business Administrator, respectively. Man, that's a hard one to keep track of, but it's kind of interesting. So this Loeffler guy, who used to be the head of the New York Stock Exchange, part of this business that looks like Pam helped hook up against some legal trouble, and now here they are. So that's interesting. I think that's something there. On top of Pam Bondi's ties to pro-Israel interests, like her resolutions passed in Florida support them, with Rick Scott, who once postponed an election so Bondi wouldn't miss the prisoner's death as she was attending a fundraiser today. That's pretty dark. Ian also supported Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, this is pretty shit so far. I'm sorry. 7 Seas, this is trash. Tulsi was a member of the WEF Young Global Leaders, along people like Mark Zuckerberg and Alex Soros. Yeah, we're aware of this. Once again, yeah, Tulsi was on the Young Global Leaders. That is, don't get me wrong, super sus. And maybe she's not one of us or not a good person. Wouldn't be surprised at all. But, I don't know. We all know. I think we all know what Tulsi is. We know she's a Zionist, but the idea is that you compare her to the alternative and she's better. Tulsi Gabbard was part of the military's PSYOP division, which is weird. She also supported Visa recently, which I think we even talked about today. She changed her position for the confirmation, which I don't know. You can believe that she actually changed her position or that she is lying. That way she can push against Visa later, and that way she can just get her foot in the door. I don't know which is which. Part of why I don't like the political game. And here's just for some food for thought. He also never covers Peter Thiel, technocracy, transhumanism, covers the obvious ties and corruptions in the Trump administration. He claims to have covered Peter Thiel multiple times, which is a lie. He spoke about Thiel one time, buried in an hours-long Old State Saloon presentation by Carbine 9/11, whose co-conspirators Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak appear in his Elon ratio, but Thiel's name is mysteriously absent. I guess I'll take your word for this. I swear just recently I saw him addressing this and literally did a stream right then to talk about that shit or something. So I don't know. You might be right. I don't really even watch Ian's coverage, so I don't know if he really does somehow deflect from Peter Thiel at all costs, but I swear I saw something recently where he was like, all right, we're going to go into this shit. I've definitely done it before, but whatever. I will say this is this is an area that you would think though. This is a one little bit of where I do find it odd. You would think, considering him being a lefty and kind of being a parapolitics guy, that he'd be a little bit more on the ball with this. But I don't know. People, different strokes, different folks. Some people go down different rabbit holes. Maybe he just really hasn't invested a bunch of time in this rabbit hole, which is hard to believe considering the rabbit holes he's invested time in. A lot of them seem to cross over with Peter Thiel or just kind of. So I don't know. This is one of the areas where I'm like, I find it odd. But also I don't watch his stuff enough to really know how accurate this is. Let me see. I'm just scrolling to see if there's anything worthwhile. Here's an hour-long video breaking down many of the players in the Trump administration's sphere of intelligence and their various bipartisan ties to corrupt, blah, 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 blah. All right, this is something he did. So I personally think that he's being funded/promoted by some of the people in his thread, but it's not clear exactly who or how. Here's a list of other things that are extremely fishy. He is here to keep all eyes on Epstein and Israel while the transhumanists and technocrats gut and reshape America right in front of us, all funded and backed by Epstein associates and pro-Israel officials anyway. Anytime he's called out on it, he becomes extremely condescending and dismissive instead of having the integrity to address these glaring blind spots. If you have any other things to add that I may have missed, feel free to comment them below. I don't know. This was pretty weak to me, but it did kind of lay out all the stuff that I'm aware of. I just find it bizarre the degree to which all the people in our community are jumping on this, and it's just like it gave me the impression there was something. There was a specific thing that you're like, oh shit, that one's pretty rough. That one's pretty damning. Maybe not, I'm not saying there'd be a fucking smoking gun, but I don't know, something other than oh, he supports political people. Yeah, he plays the political game. I don't know. This is I'm just kind of befuddled still by this one. I just think it's. And I get it. It's the same idea when people look at Patriot Front and they go, Fed. And you're like, those are feds. And you're like, okay, well, do you have any proof? And you're like, no, but come on, they're feds. That's kind of the same thing here. But the thing is, at least with Patriot Front, it's I don't know. It's worst case scenario, you're calling a group of retards feds. Whereas with this, if you're calling this guy a fed, you're fed jacketing someone who looks like he's doing pretty good work. So I don't know. I guess this is why I'm not that much, but I don't know. I also I wouldn't be surprised at all. So I completely get where people are coming from. This guy blew up. He does kind of seem to cope a lot for political players, but that's just the political game. Everyone copes for their political players. So yeah, he's a political guy. I don't fucking. He's not an agorist. Surprise, surprise. Like, he has political actors that he advocates for, or so yeah, it only makes sense that he would just, naturally, probably without even intentionally doing it, shy away from their negatives. Welcome to politics. I don't know. This one does frustrate me because I just feel like there should be more here, but everyone's freaking out about it, and there's just not. I'm not seeing more. As of right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Fed, but there's absolutely nothing that really strongly suggests it to me. Nothing. Like, I wouldn't say anything strongly suggests it. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So, yeah. So going back pretty far with online. By the way, did I not have that up the entire time I was talking? I just realized it's not showing it. I don't know if I exited out before I got on there. You guys, what the fuck? All right, sorry if it did exit out. My bad. But all right, let's exit out of that now. All right, cool. Going back pretty far with online comments, he grew up on the scene over the past 3 years because of GameStop. Yeah, which, I mean, you can't report the truth and be self-involved in the political lie. Exactly. So, someone saying you're thinking of Vin Armanian said somebody. Let's see what else. Jealousy explains it all. He's pretty optimistic and middle of the road politically. Perfect for TikTok. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm like. Yeah, like I know he does cope, but a lot of it is kind of like he's involved in the political game, and he's very optimistic. He's a lot more bubbly and happy than I am. That's just his delivery style. That's not me. So, yeah. Let me see what else. Listen to Jay Dyer and others telling truth since the 90s, says Helper Crow. He leaves a lot out. Yes. Someone says, King Pill, the dude who used to be a man whore who changed his name to Cyrus or something. No, that as you just said, that's Cyprian. Yeah. Which I had him on the show forever ago. Someone talking shit about scientists. Scientology. I'm trying to see. Trudeau's brother was a huge JFK Jr. cheerleader. I think that's how they met each other. Okay. Did I see the Tucker interview with Ernst Rotes? I don't even know who Ernst Rotes is. Yeah. Clint's a Fed. He was boosting Ian. Case closed. There we go. We got it. Probably. All right. I'm just scrolling through here, guys. Sorry. Didn't Elon also offer a baby to Taylor? Even though I was joking, was it really? I don't recall that. I have yet to find a women podcaster that I can stand. Yes. You guys use the glowy slang. LOL. I thought that was a Kiwi specific thing because of Terry Davis. I don't even really know Kiwi. And it wasn't like Kiwi Farms. I don't really know. I don't know if I can. But yeah, the glowy terminology. Just so people know, I have had people before try to claim that I'm like shit coded or something because I say glowy. I'll go ahead and let you guys know this right now. Glowy is an abbreviation for glow nigger. Which, because apparently, I guess, I don't know if at what point, if it was a Reddit thing or what, but at one point, people used to refer to feds as glow niggers. And then at some point, it became shortened to glowy or glow, depending on the situation. Or they glow, they're using as like a verb. So I've had people go like, oh, you're shit coding in racism. I'm not shit coding racism. I'm just using racism and having fun with it. I mean, I don't know. You don't need to overthink this. But yeah, no, I like the word glowy. It's not even that it has because it, originates from glow nigger. Although I will be honest, my childlike mind finds that funny, but I do find it very useful because it's useful in, it really does a good job of expressing the idea that like, if you're saying this person glows, you're not saying I know for a fact they are a Fed. What you're saying is they are exhibiting Fed characteristics. They glow. They're putting off an aura of Fediness. So that's why I feel like it really fits because you don't really ever really know for sure if someone's a Fed. So that's why I like it. Ian, someone found something on Ian Carroll's parents. Let's see. Let's go up there because I know you guys were talking in the chat about him having Fed parents. Now that's something that I'm like, okay, that's something a little bit more substantive. Let me see. Here we go. See if I found the right thing. All right, I found it. Let me see. I'll bring it up. So this is what I guess people are saying about, all right, criticize Israel on social media and you immediately get accounts like Awesome Docs, doxing your 70-plus-year-old parents. Totally not mob tactics. Something, God's chosen people. Something, most moral army. Not a good look, awesome Jew. Criticize America's government. I won't take it personally. Hell, I'll help. Israel, though, can't criticize them. They're perfect, or else we'll harass your elderly parents. That only proves my point. This isn't normal. And awesome jewelry should have been banned for this exact behavior. All right, whatever. So he says, I've removed the post suggesting Ian Carroll's a fake name. It appears that Ian Carroll's indeed his real name, and he lives in his parents' $1 million home in Bellingham, Washington. Okay, well, he comes from a well-to-do family. His parents, blank and blank, both work as professors at blank and reportedly sued the Public Health Service after his birth in Vermont. Okay, so they're professors? There's a light glow when you're talking about professors. A light glow. Public Health Service, claiming they discharged blank too soon following a C-section. Ian's former Instagram account at Ian Carrol Creates shows he worked as a hiking mountain guide and mentioned mentoring middle and high school students. Couldn't find any professional jobs listed in his past. All of his information is publicly available online through his various social media profiles. So it looks like his parents are professors, which I guess, can lead into glowiness, but that is not glowy by its nature. And I could totally see him. He strikes me as someone who could be like the kids of professors, like a well-to-do, well-meaning individual. And then goes on, kind of gets kind of lefty-ish, gets into hiking, being a hiking guy, helping. I don't know. It just seems to fit. It seems believable. I don't think you need any glowiness to explain that. So, I guess this is what some people are referring to. So, all right, let's get back to the chat, see what you guys have to say. Most people get super popular in some way connected to the cabal, for sure. All right, let's get back to all right, I'm back caught up on the chat, see what you guys have to say. Someone's saying, look up Terry Davis. I don't know. If that's something worthwhile, tag me, and especially if it's an article or something, I'll bring it up tomorrow. Stop talking. Go watch Terry Davis now. You can tag me and shit, guys. I'll bring this up tomorrow. We're probably gonna start rapping here in a minute. So, dude wrote his own programming language. Someone's saying about this Terry Davis guy. All right. Well, let me look through real quick, see if there's anything else I really particularly want to cover today. I think we're good. There is some stuff I was gonna, but we can save that for tomorrow. I was going to talk a little bit about Lance Bass, not Lance Bass, the Mayor Bass. I was going to talk about her a little bit, but we could save that for tomorrow. I think that'll be good for tomorrow. But with that, guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Go if you don't want to monetarily support, one thing you can do, like I said, just like, share, subscribe. You can leave a like here on YouTube, Rumble. If you can also leave 5-star reviews on iTunes, Spotify. Those help out a ton. They go really far. Appreciate it. But if you want to support us monetarily over here, you can do that over at patreon.com/nowayjose2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where you get the access to the early episodes. Like, for example, I have, by tonight, I'm going to have 2 False Memory Syndrome episodes in there, and I'm also going to have the Season 1 analysis of True Detective in there. That'll drop tomorrow, though, so that'll go public for you guys tomorrow, but there'll still be 2 other ones behind the paywall for you guys. You also can get ad-free RSS feed for the show, and you can get access to being a talking head on Already Dead with me and Austin on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Also, at the highest levels, my sponsors will read them off every episode. That's my co-host and Targang at Targang Toad. Also at Abrogate D's at ZOVERACK at _Infinite Zeal. Also have, I'm going to brain fart son. Also have Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine. Tim Tuttle at John Klebold. Big fan of the show, Tormain, and at INWARD Lover. And with that, guys, see someone tag me a Terry Davis one. We'll probably cover that tomorrow. See Eddie saying goodbye. Have a good one. Helper, Doctori. See you guys. See everyone. Appreciate everyone who showed up today. So yeah. Okay. Someone's saying I can't see y'all's chats. That's bizarre. Like you can't see. Like, can you see this? All right. Whatever. I don't know. StreamYard's being screwy. Sorry if anyone had any weird technical issues today. StreamYard is being odd. So it is what it is. I can't control it. But with that, guys, we're out of here. Deuces. Love y'all.